What's up, Jackalls? Today I'll be making the subscriber button that I made for the 500th video that you can also watch and download all of the files. Now let's get digital. We'll be making this animation, and as you can see it's not the same at the start and at the beginning, so you can't make any shortcuts when it comes to the animation. So we have to decide how long the clip will be. In this case, let's just go with 5 seconds. So make a fusion composition, give it a name, and put it onto the timeline. Then select it and go into the Fusion page. How I like to do things is to make a transparent background. So background node, make this transparent, and we need a merge. Put this in the background, the yellow input, and connect it to the media out. So this will be our last step. Now the first thing that we need is a background node and rectangle, and this will be our button. Connect it like that. Now in the rectangle, specify the width and the height. If you want to have some corners, you can specify that as well. And change the color to what you want. Maybe the button will be like that. We can always come back to change this. Now in case you want to add a border to this shape, the easiest way to do it is to copy the rectangle and the background, add the merge node, and connect this to the foreground. First, let's change the color so that we can actually see it. Like that. And in the rectangle, this will not be solid, and we have to set the border width. Now, depending on how you position this, you could also position this in the back. So Ctrl T to switch between the two. So now the button is in the front and the border is at the back. So if you do that, you may need to adjust the border width again. Now in case you want to adjust the width and the height of the button, how you can go about doing this is to select one rectangle, maybe this one because it's a copy. I'll pin it. I'll select the first one. Actually this is the second one because it's pinned. So I'll put equals in the width and connect it to the width of the original one. And put equals into the height. And connect it to the height. Now in this rectangle, so now if I adjust the width and the height, you can see that the border will scale with it. So you can do it in this way if you need this option. Now the next thing that we'll do is add some text. So add the text node, simply type subscribe. I suggest you choose one of the fonts that everyone has, because if you want to share this with other people and they don't have the same font, then nothing will show up. Maybe this is better, so it's smaller. And we can also animate the text and the text size. But we'll adjust that when we do the actual animation. And now for the last element of the subscribe button is the actual mouse. So to make a mouse, we'll use a polygon. We need the background. And connect it like that. To make things easier to animate, we may also need the transfer node, but we'll see if we need that. So in the polygon, I'll go into the center. So let's see, this will be the starting point. Maybe something like that. Zoom in. So make a nicer selection. Change the color to white, and then to smooth out the edges, simply adjust the border. Now if you want to have a border just like here, simply copy this again. And in this case, I'll simply make a merge here, so this is together. I'll put the border at the back, so it will be like that, and connect it here. So that we actually see the border, just change the color to something else. And the easiest way to do this is to simply increase the border width, and we have the mouse. Now for the actual animation, we'll be animating the button and the mouse separately. And the easiest way to do that would be to put a transfer node here, so that we can simply move the button. And with the mouse, because this is separately as well, we can simply use the merge node to move the mouse. So we can do it like that. Or we can put the transfer node here and animate that. But for now, let's animate the button. So first what we want, maybe we'll start at frame 10. for maybe 12. We'll put this down. So this will be the starting position, and we'll scale the center and the size. So we need to scale the size, so it can be like that. Now the final position. So if it starts at frame 12, and this is a 24 frame timeline, half a second is 12 frames. So maybe in half a second, it will pop up. So the size will be 1, and the position will go back into the center. So like that. So you have this part of the animation. Now if you want to hide the button and the mouse animation, I'll simply use rectangle and mask it at the end. I'll just increase it in width, position it down. And as you can see, now we don't see it. So maybe I want to hide it here. And I'll invert the selection. So it will start at this point. And to make the selection look nicer, I'll simply adjust the soft edge. Maybe something like that. So we have the rectangle position. We can also do the same at the end. So maybe you want to start the actual ending of the animation at frame 100. Put the size and the center as keyframes, so they have the same value. And then 12 frames in, the size will go down to 0, and this will go back down. So this is the ending animation. Now because this will be moving, we can go then to settings and apply motion blur. So the animation looks a little bit nicer, as you can see, and without it, it'll just look flat. But we can enable this at the end. Now for the mouse animation, I'll also use a transfer node. So if this is the final position, the mouse will then go maybe in this kind of motion. So I'll start from this position, and I'll be animating the center, so I'll keyframe it. Then maybe it will take a quarter of a second, so 6 frames. The position will go like that. And we can now actually click in the middle of the point or somewhere else and adjust how the path will behave. And we can also smooth this out. So the mouse will go like that, then it will do its thing. So the button starts disappearing at frame 100, so maybe the mouse can disappear at frame 96. So start the animation here. I'll keyframe the center again, so we know that the mouse will hover at this point. And then at frame 96, we'll change the position again, somewhere like here. At the midpoint, make this curve nicer looking. Maybe something like that. Let's see how this looks like. It's okay, we can do whatever we want in the midpoint with the mouse. So if you wanted to, we could make jaggy motions. Let's see what we got. So we can do something like that, and then the actual click will happen at this point. So at this point what we'll want to do is go to the text maybe. So we'll start the animation, let's see, at frame 80. So we'll keyframe the text, and then the animation will take 2 frames. And we'll add a D. So this will now go from subscribe to subscribed. We'll do similarly for the background. So we can change the color from red to a gray color, something like that. And we can also change the outside. Now we also need to animate the button. So at this point, because this will be where the click happens, so we'll be animating the size. And at this point we could adjust the pivot, but let's just keep it as it is. So the size will be 1 and 1. And in the middle, we'll scale this up just a little bit, so maybe 1.1. And for the mouse, we can again scale the mouse up. So this will be size 1 and 1. and scale the mouse up, maybe 1.2, and see how that looks like. And with that, the subscribe button is done. The only thing that you can do is to go to the transfer nodes, go to settings, and enable the motion blurs. So let's do that. Now you could also do this with shapes. But if you do the button with shapes, this will only work with DaVinci Resolve 17 because the shapes weren't present in DaVinci Resolve 16. Now the last thing that I'll show you is how to make this button reusable so that you can simply click and drag it onto the timeline. I have a dedicated video on making macros, but for ease of use, let's just say that you have to select the nodes that are most important that you'll actually be making changes to first. So in this case, let's say that you want to change the color of the background, color of the border, maybe you want to adjust some of the text. And let's say for the mouse, you want to be able to change the color of both the mouse and the border. Now with all of the nodes selected, like we want, select all of the other nodes. And maybe in the rectangle, we also want to change the size. So this is correct that I've selected the next. And then select all of the other nodes. Except for the media out. And right click on the last node. Then go to macro, create a macro. And as you can see, the nodes are now selected in the order that I've selected them. So in the background too, let's say that we want to change the color. This would be basically color. And we can also change the type. So you want to have this as gradient. We need to select all of the color options and gradient type. And maybe start like that. Then we have background to 1. This will just be solid. So I'll simply select this for colors. Then we have the text. In the text, what we want to be able to change is maybe the actual text. So that is the stylized text. If you want to change the font style, and maybe also the color, we need to change these nodes. And if you want to be able to change the size, this one as well. And that's about it. Then we have the background color again. So I'll simply select these nodes. And these nodes. And then I have the rectangle 1. And in here I can adjust the width and height. And for rectangle 1, we actually linked it so that when we change these two options, the border will also change with it. So that is basically done. Now simply go to File. I suggest you use Save as Group so that you can make changes to it. If you use Save As, this will basically make one node that combines all of these nodes and you won't be able to access it. So Save as Group, go to Fusion, Templates, Edit, and this will go under Titles. Simply give it a name. So I'll do a sub-tutorial, save. So as you can see, the effect showed up here. This is the one we made in the Fusion. It looks something like that. And if I put this one now on, you can see that this is now a title. So the effect that we made looks like this. But what you can do is click on it and we'll have all of the options that we enabled right in the inspector tab. So we can change the color, as you can see. So maybe this will be the color that we want. And as you can see, the color is selected like we want it to. But just make sure that if you change the color, you actually change the color where it was keyframed. So in this case, I would have to do it like that. Unkeyframe it. Go to this point, change the color here. And then change this color to something else. Maybe like that. And the same with the border. It's similar with the text. Just go to the keyframe that we made the change to. So you can change the text and have the animation be kept. Change the font to what you want, change the color, and lastly, this is for the mouse button. So you can change the mouse and the most bullet rest. You can have some crazy combinations. And that's it. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up. You can also subscribe if you want to see DaVinci Resolve and video editing content twice a week, and hit the bell notification icon so you know when my next video comes out. I'm Simon, and until next time, Jackalls, keep it digital.